All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Enablement Brew podcast. I'm Carly Lehner.
And I'm Malvina Alsaik, and we're so excited you're joining us for yet another episode in May. I can't believe it's already May. Every time we record an episode, it just feels like time is flying by, and it's very scary. But anyway, here we are with a new episode, and we have a guest. We're joined by Jaren Krchnavi from Siemens. All right, Jaren, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I mean, also perfect pronunciation there. So congratulations on that. Yeah, Jaren Krchnavi. I'm heading sales enablement within Grid Software. So Siemens is a very, very large company. We're, in the technology environment, but within Siemens, we have different divisions and different businesses, and I'm working within Grid Software. So this one's focusing especially on the utility industry. It's also really exciting because we're there supporting the energy transition. So all those renewables that are coming onto the grid, we help utilities manage that supply and demand. And I'm there to help the sales team be efficient and effective in going out to the customers, making sure that they're well equipped, that they know all about the products, they're well trained, they're using the selling methodologies, and they just go out and make the customer have a great experience.
Sounds so easy.
Yeah, I know.
If it only were.
So, Jaren, we start every episode, as you probably know, with what's in your mug, because this is the Enablement Brew after all. So, share with us, what do you have in your mug today?
Yeah, so here I'm drinking a matcha latte. So this is that kind of green powdery tea.
Yep.
I'm really into in the past drinking chai tea, and then I moved from chai tea to matcha. So very, very tasty. It's a little bit herby, so you may need to put a little bit of sugar or honey in there. But it's a very high quality tea, and yeah, I can very much recommend that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of matcha. I think on one of our previous episodes, I had a latte. Maybe it was our last episode with Andrew. I had a matcha latte. They're so good. But yeah, you're right. Like I need a little flavor sweetener in mine because just straight up imperial grade matcha is lovely, but a little earthy for my taste. I am just drinking a good old Yorkshire tea with some oat milk, so nothing too fancy today. But Malvina, coffee, water, tea, what do you got today?
Well, it's instant.
Always.
Instant sweetener. And I did put milk in it today. I felt like milky tea. Um,
What's the mug? Let's see your mug. Oh, that's cute.
Love for Friday, love for the weekend.
Yeah, that's a good Friday mug for sure. Well, Jaren, so before we dive into the topic, because we're going to talk about kickoffs a bit, sales kickoffs, first want to congratulate you on being named a 2023 Sales Enablement One to Watch. Congratulations.
Thank you. Same back at you.
So let's talk about sales kickoffs. I know it's May, and some people might be wondering, like, why would we talk about a sales kickoff at this time of year? But I actually think it's probably pretty common for companies to have like a mid-year kickoff, so something in the summer at some point, or they have their kickoff maybe a little bit later after the new year. So kind of tell us about the kickoff that you recently planned and why did you make the decision on timing that you did?
Sure. So at Siemens, we have our fiscal year actually starting the 1st of October. So our kickoff is coming up quite soon here. I'm actually already in the motion. So the engine is started and everything's starting to run. We already got our weeklies going on the topic. We're about to invite for the big stakeholder invitation with our CFOs, the VPs, getting everybody on board here. So yeah, ours basically starts with this idea of the new fiscal year starting. We want to motivate the people. We want to give them awards for their successes. And if you weren't so successful, then we want you to just kind of, erase the past and come in with a super motivated mindset that you're going to hit your targets for the next year.
It
All
can
right.
be super motivating to see like your peers, like especially for people in sales or typically fairly competitive people. So to see their peers get recognized and be like, I want that. I want that glory. I want to work hard next year. Yeah, I love that.
For sure. Yeah, they awards is very motivating. So I don't know what they're saying is, but I think people are a lot of times driven not only by the award. Sometimes we even give a little bit of monetary award, but I think it's that recognition, like bringing somebody on the stage, having the VP of sales shake your hand, getting that photo taken. So people love that, and that really I think also drives people to really hit their numbers and do great deals.
Hmm. This is interesting because a few weeks ago we had a discussion around sales becoming very trustworthy and becoming one of the most trustworthy professions on the planet. And actually, the topic of contention was what motivates and drives salespeople, right? Are they motivated obviously by hitting their numbers and getting commission? Or to your point, are they motivated by that recognition in front of their peers, in front of senior leadership? Because I wonder what truly drives people. Is it obviously everyone wants to make money and live comfortably, but at the end of the day, when you think like, I'm gonna have a successful year because for some it could be I'm gonna get a massive paycheck, and for others it could be I'm gonna shake the hand of our CEO and I'm going to have my face blasted all over a huge screen and there's going to be, we are the champions playing in the background, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Your experience, what do you think drives sellers?
That's a good question. And we actually did a survey on this. So we actually surveyed the sales to see, does it make sense that we're giving these Amazon gift certificates to them? And it came back also, interestingly enough, a lot of different responses. Some people, they said, I would love if I just had some more time off, so no more time to spend with my family. Some people want the recognition, obviously. I think that was one of the highest one, I think, in front of management and peers, so just being recognized. But also this intrinsic motivation was also brought a smile to my face when I saw some people said, I just am so happy when my customer gets their problem solved and I could help them. And I was like, wow, this is this is the sales team that we're looking for, They're just there to make the customer happy.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting whenever you run these type of surveys just to see what comes from them, because so often we might, be under the assumption that it's one thing, but actually it's completely something else.
Yeah, there's
I
some surprises in there.
Yeah, I think when we think about sales kickoffs, so much effort and time goes into it. It's a lot of planning. It's managing a lot of different stakeholders. It's making sure that the day or days are cohesive. There's a theme, there is an agenda. Everyone knows what their purpose is on the day. You will hear some feedback that, oh, kickoffs, it's just fluff. 1 day, 2 days, it's nice, but then we go back to the office. It's back to the grind and back to the usual.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, and how do you ensure that sales kickoffs, whether you do them in the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year to really instill that belief and get the energy going, are not just a nice to have fluff?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think it happens that sometimes the sales kickoff can be a little bit fluff, and people just get all pumped up there, and then they go back and, like I said, they kind of just continue business as usual. And we've gone through a transition over the last three SKOs, so I think we kind of started that direction. Also, we had a change in management. We had a new VP of sales come in. We only had like a month to organize it, so this was kind of crazy organization, get something up. And that was a little bit more like, okay, boom, just throwing out content, and then we all went back to work. But then we went to the next level, and we started looking a little bit more at the data, seeing how our stories, the messaging hits people, maybe changes their behavior. But we noticed, and the data was showing us that unfortunately there wasn't much behavior change after that sales sequence. So the next time around, we keep getting better. We've now again, put, I think, a good, nice thread together. We had what we called the immersion phase before. So we trained the people. We said it's your ticket in, so you're not going to get a flight to Portugal, which we did our last one in Cascais, Portugal. Very beautiful location, excellent food. And we said you don't get a ticket in unless you do your training. So this is also a great way, my little tip of the day. So if you want to get that 100% training quote, this, say you're not going to get a flight over to a great location. So they did all their training. Then we, have them apply it also at the event. So they had to go through kind of a use case. They had to enact, going to a C-level with the customer. And then we started immediate pipeline generation afterwards. And that was, again, the sales plays, the sales material that we prepared for them. And so then we started tracking also. We wanted them to use the CRM more in a certain way, recording activities. And now we're actually, again, just tracking exactly how much of an impact it has. And you can see that if you just really focus on those 2 days, then yeah, you're going to have a very little impact because, with learning, we all know that with learning, you lose so much so quickly, and it takes also so much to build up. So we're now looking at the SKO more as kind of 365-day event. So we're actually even thinking about changing the name internally, not calling it the sales kickoff. We call it the immersion, and then like sales kickoff as kind of the second, name, because we want it to be really like the whole enablement, the whole plan is like the whole year, like how we're reinforcing all those messages and continuously looking at the data and seeing, are we getting that behavior change that we're looking for? Are they using the CRM? Is our pipeline increasing? So yes, I'd say it can really be just kind of fluff and just maybe a beer drinking like environment where there's a lot of partying, which is great for networking and connecting. But we really, from our experience, going through this and learning and looking at the data we've seen, we got to make this like a year program and reinforce consistently to get that behavior change that's so needed.
I was recently reviewing a lot of QBRs. Now hold me up. There's a link here. QBRs that we run with our customers. And it made me think that actually sales kickoffs, it's almost like our internal QBR. And even when I sit through QBRs with vendors that we've brought on board, I'm going to be honest, there are certain QBRs that I'm like, okay, I need another jug of coffee, right? To get me going through this. And then there's QBRs when I'm really engaged, I'm listening, and I walk away feeling like I've learned something. And this really made me think that actually kickoffs are like our internal QBR. And it's all great showing, facts and figures and data and looking at the product roadmap, but also you want your sellers to walk away excited for what's ahead, excited for how the product is evolving, aware of where we are in terms of our numbers, but also learn something or discover something that perhaps they didn't get a chance to know earlier. And oftentimes we think like everyone knows our numbers, everyone knows what the target is, everyone knows how well we've performed. But diving a little bit deeper and getting the sales team to think, oh, actually, like all of our self-generation has contributed so much to the revenue. Wow, I had no idea. I thought that was just something that I was trying to do, wasn't sure if it was working, and also giving them that perspective. And I think those are the greatest kickoffs where your sellers, the team that you have attending, walks away saying, you know what? I actually learned something. Like, yes, I networked. Yes, I partied. I did drink all those beers. I did stay up really late. But I learned something. And I think that's what we need to, try to get, like, that's that North Star for me. Like, is everyone going to learn something new? Are they going to walk away feeling this was time really well spent? It was nice. It was lovely. Company was awesome. But I also learned something from it.
Yeah, completely speaks to me because that's what we were discussing. We were saying we want the sales and also we call them the geo leaders, so like the CEOs in the regions, that when they come, they leave and they say that was a well worth, investment. So I'm a business person and I had to invest my time, the flight, everything. and I leave and I say like this was worth it. And of course, on top of that, it's learning. So that's why it's also that SKO is run out of enablement. So we're all about learning. It's a learning event for us.
Yeah.
So, Jaren, how big of a team do you have to help plan an event like this?
Yeah, so the team is quite massive actually. So in total, it was almost like 50 people who were supporting, because just if you think the content side, so that focused immersion phase that I was talking about, the 3 weeks leading up to the on-site, we had the product team, marketing and sales, and of course enablement in there, preparing all the training that they were going to go through, and at the same time the sales plays. So we had this all in HighSpot, so they can go there, they can do the training, then they can immediately go to that sales play, what to know, say, show, do, and they can really learn that. And then this is, what they're going to be taking and running with for the rest of the year. But then, of course, we worked also with some external partners. So our event was accelerating growth, the habits of success. So we brought in, for example, an external speaker who talked about forming habits. That was really cool. So you have a little bit, this fun, interesting element. The Atomic Habit books was brought up, which is a great book. And then we connect that to, which is sometimes a little bit the shock for the people. You have this fun, happy, the habits thing then, and the habits for you are upload your information to the CRM. People are like, oh, back to business again. But it all tied well together, and we had also an external help for the whole is kind of going in there and acting. So going and acting, pretending to be at the C-level, which we did with this expert, as well as some of our own VPs. So from that side, the event team, I think, was probably a good 10 people working on this event. Marketing responsible or content responsible working on the agenda. Then you had like the events person, 2 people from events. Then you had the local Portuguese team that was an agency. So this person and maybe 2 other people were main contact. So it was, again, quite a lot of moving parts there and coordination. But it was all worth it in the end.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm jealous. That's a lot of people to help plan.
I know.
Usually it's like me and like one other person, and we like kind of tag team. She does like logistics. I do like actual like content planning and agenda and all of that. And it would be nice to have a team. So I'm so jealous of you.
What's also interesting, like kickoffs I've organized have always pretty much been virtual. I haven't yet organized an in-person kickoff. And I'm also curious, what is your policy in terms of hybrid work, remote work, working purely from the office? Does that play into the decision and whether it should be a remote event or in person?
Yeah, I mean, it was first this whole COVID that we went through, and there it was obviously going to be 100% virtual because we were restricting traveling. Nobody was working in the office. It was pretty much policy, don't go in if you don't have to. And then it started all loosening up, and we got really lucky because it kind of the rules all opened up for us perfectly for that trip to Portugal. And that was also the idea was we were going through a big transformation. A lot of us had never seen each other ever. So really seeing people for the first time. Also, the VP of sales, so funny seeing him get on the stage, and he was saying like, wow, there you guys, like I found you. There's my sales team. It's really so great to see all of you and see people, in the flesh, and see people's faces and their eye contact, and how, when he's giving messages, how are they reacting to that? These are all really, really important elements. And I think if you want to go on site, I think you really have to kind of build a business case, like give good arguments, because it's a pretty big investment to fly people around the world if you're a global company. So we had, I think, again, good reason that we had never met in person or not for many, many, many years. People, I think, were just tired of the whole, COVID sitting behind a monitor. So this was a huge boost, I think. People left, we said like the doors were kicked open, people running out, running after their customers after because they're so pumped up. So there just needs, I think, be a really good, reason to bring people on site. Otherwise, there's always this looking at cost cutting, where can we save costs? And that's an easy one to have on the list. Let's just do that virtual.
Yeah. I think now is a challenging time as well. Like the year, Carly and I spoke about this on many episodes. The year didn't necessarily start off well for a lot of companies in the tech space, right? Loads of layoffs, loads of redundancies, including enablement. I think that decision in the current climate now for smaller companies has to be really well thought through, because there have been instances in the tech space where you fly everyone over to a tropical exotic location and then boom, everyone's back in the office on Monday and you do a series of layoffs. Like, that's disheartening, even though some people could look at it, well, it was like the final hurrah before they had to let us go. But I think you have to, I think it's always going to be personal to that organization and that business, and you have to be mindful of what's happening around you, right? Because to your point, it is a big investment. If you can justify it, do it, amazing. But I'm against, doing a massive kickoff and then delivering really bad news.
Yeah, 100%. So, Jaren, this is our last question. But what are some couple pieces of advice you have for people who are looking to plan either their first kickoff or are looking to kind of reinvigorate their kickoffs? So what are one or two pieces of advice you have?
Yeah, I think first piece of advice would just start with yourself a little bit, the mindset, like try to be open to the idea that anything's possible. So I was surprised myself, stuff that we did, and it wasn't always myself being that confident. It was sometimes like a higher manager who just says, we're going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's just do it. And then you start going after it and in the end, you see it really was possible. Like, and that I think for anybody, if you want to do it, go big, map that out, try to sell it to your organization or find that executive level person who also believes in the SKO and the value it's going to bring. And just know that I think, anything's possible. Also, even in my company, Siemens, it's in some ways it was a little bit conservative with this whole like sales kickoff. We had not always done something like this, bring people all to one location and also in another country. Usually it'd be like bring everybody to Germany. So and I think that one is one of my pieces of advice, I guess I would give there. And another one, my kind of motto, just leaning on partners. And I mean, you can't do it all on your own. So as much as possible, try to get other people supporting such an event. And it's also interesting sometimes, like you'll find people who are in the organization who you would have never known that they would be interested in joining and supporting and, taking up part of that project. And I got help from people I had no clue were, there available to support. And yeah, so those
That's great advice. Nice. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. So, Jaren, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm like now getting excited to kind of think about kickoff again, even though for us it's typically in January, but it's like, oh, might be time to start like thinking about what kind of budget will we have? Should we do virtual or in person? But thank you so much for joining us. And everyone else, we will see you on our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.